I thought I would just try and do a summary of what I have observed on the news over the last few days. So I'm not living in the States, I'm in my 70s, and I just want to give a view of another person's or an older person's view of how they see the world right now and how they interpret everything that's going on, especially with the American politics at the moment, or an older person's view of how they see the world right now and how they interpret everything that's going on, especially with the American politics at the moment. What I'm actually seeing at the moment is things that are happening. So many things are happening on a day-to-day basis and on a several times a day basis, where it's almost being impossible to keep up with what's happening. I start off when I think about one of my favourite programs that I like to watch on YouTube is the Stephen Colbert on the Late Show or the Late Night Show or whatever it's called, the Late Show. And I was shocked to a degree to see that that's being canned as of May next year. However, when I saw the first episode when he came back from holidays, I thought maybe he was sort of treading on hot coals at that stage. It sort of looked a little bit like it. And I guess with all the other business that's going on with the Paramount, CBS, Trump carry on with suing over 60-minute programs and all the background schmozzle that's going on, it hasn't surprised me at all to see that that Stephen Colbert's program has been sent to a place of no return. And that's sad because the people that watch Stephen Colbert, from what I can see, are the people that are holding on to some sort of hope that things will come right, that there are people out there of influence and like him, because he's got a platform, that talk their language, and it gives people hope. And reading the comments on that YouTube, I don't actually watch it on TV. I watch it, but later on YouTube. And the comments that I see are all these people that are thanking him for keeping them sane or giving them hope for another day. And it saddens me that it's got to a stage where people now have to rely on a comedian on TV who is talking to them about things that are going on in life, and they have to hang on to that as a means of survival because the rest of what's going on around them is absolute disaster. Or that's how they see it anyway. I wonder what those people that were watching him are going to do and how they're going to survive another day without having Stephen Colbert coming on and just giving a little bit of light-hearted banter. Call it whatever you will. But it was something that gave people a connection to something that maybe there is a bit of hope in the future. The way that I believe that the program is being discontinued, I believe there's probably some financial issues involved in it, but I think at the end of the day, it is purely somebody saying, get rid of him, don't want him, don't need him, and it was part of the bargain. And Stephen's not silly. He thought it was something about the great big bribe. And I think there's probably more people believe that than don't believe it. So in that respect, I'm going to be sad to see the end of Stephen Colbert. I hope they don't start attacking Jimmy Kimmel. or Jimmy Fallon. Both of those add their own touch of reality. Could you call it reality? They add their own touch of reality for a situation that at the moment is feeling a little bit like it's on a razor edge. And if the people that like to tune in and watch that to give them some hope lose that, then what have they got? Because whatever else is going on around the country is not really giving them too much hope at the moment. I guess Trump will be quite pleased now that Stephen Colbert is going away. But there is something that I believe he wishes would go away, but it refuses to, and that's the Epstein business. Now, this thing is turning around. It's going upside down, back to front. Reports coming out every 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Things are happening. There's developments happening. Then they're not happening. And it's just about got everyone feeling dizzy of what's going on. Now, I guess there is a lot going on in the background that people don't know about, they're not aware of. They don't know how much influence people are wielding in the background. But the only thing I can say that I feel as being a mother of 2 girls, a grandmother of several, 4 or 5 granddaughters, and a great-grandmother of a number of great-granddaughters, the whole Epstein business leaves me cold. I hate to think of those young girls that were trafficked, that were abused. And I was a 13, 14-year-old girl myself at one stage. Now, I can imagine the situation I would have been in if these important people of power, with power, were coming on to me the way that the Trump, the Epstein, and all this so-called list of influential people did. It would have been very confusing for a 13-year-old girl to try and sort out in her mind what she had to do. You're taught to respect your elders. Well, these people were certainly elders. They weren't their own age. They were probably doing things to them that they knew wasn't right. But what do they do? I try and put myself in their situation and think, what would I have done in their position? And even now, after so many years, that some of these victims have come forward and made statements and told their story, which is a hellishing brave thing to do. And basically they're being told by these people that it's a load of rubbish. It didn't exist. All this stuff that went on didn't happen. All this list of people didn't exist. They weren't there. It's just the figment of someone's imagination. It's just a hoax. Someone's making it all up just to try and get back at somebody. Now, I can't understand why there is so much backwards and forwards on this. 1 minute they've got Epstein, they've got him in prison, found, he's up on these charges or whatever it was of all this trafficking and all the carry on with his plane and his island and New York apartment and all this sort of stuff with all these girls. And now someone's trying to say, well, there's no list. He never had a list of clients. Now, for someone in business like that, he had to have records. There had to be records somewhere of some of the activity that went on. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now in prison serving a term, she was all party to this. So if it never happened, what's she doing in prison? What's she in prison for? Is she in prison for something that didn't happen, that somebody's made up as a big hoax? So there's so much that is not fitting in. And I hear now that the tape, the raw tape of the taken from the prison cell, is minus a couple of minutes or so. Now, if I was a bit of a conspiracy theorist and was able to express my opinion tells me that he was probably switched over for somebody else. He's probably living a life of luxury somewhere under a new identity on a sun-soaked palm beach somewhere, living the life of Riley. I'm probably not silly to think that, because other people are probably thinking it too. Now, if that's the case, how do things all come to light if all these files are brought out into the public and everyone's made aware of what went on? Now, okay, if he did unalive himself, as the story goes, were there DNA samples taken? He's got a live brother, apparently. Were there DNA samples taken to compare that the body that they had was actually Jeffrey Epstein? We never hear about all of that. So you can understand why people have this desire to sort of make up stories and say, well, maybe this happened or maybe that happened. But there's so many different views and interpretations and stories coming out through the news at the moment. I'm starting to wonder if the people that were involved even know what the hell happened or what went on. I guess at the moment, the only people that really know, or the only person that is really aware, is Trump, and he's not going to say anything. The victims who have come forward, they know what happened. They've made their statements. But then their privacy needs to be protected. Quite frankly, we see what happened with like R. Kelly and Rolf Harris over in England and Diddy and all of these cases, which all involve either underage girls or trafficking or abuse, unwarranted or unrequested abuse of women. Why is it so complicated to get to the bottom of the Epstein case? The reason being is that probably one of the main people that was involved is in a very powerful position. It's up to him what gets released and what doesn't, and what gets released, whether it's truthful or not. And I think it's about time that the people who have got the receipts, that know all the information, need to come forward and let the world know what went on in this case. Now, it's possible there could be people who are in very high positions. It's probably the last thing that they want to happen. But why should they get away with it? If they were involved, why should they get away with it? Just because they have money, power, influence. It's behaviour that's not accepted by society. And it's not accepted by certainly the girls that were involved and their parents, their families, and anyone else who has got the slightest bit of respect for children and the way they should be treated. And I would hope that is everybody. Because if anyone doesn't have that respect for children, then they deserve the punishment that's coming to them. Now, That's my opinion. I just think the whole lid needs to be blown off this, and just let the cards fall where they fall, and it may destroy some people's lives, livelihoods, but if they were involved in it, it needs to come out. And this protecting of people in power and influence, it needs to stop. Because especially when it comes to young girls and the abuse of young girls and young people, and for those people that are covering up, they need to be held accountable as well. So that's my opinion on that. I guess the other issue that's sort of come into the forefront over the last few days, and I guess it's just to probably take the attention off the Epstein case, is Trump's health issues. Now, I saw something on Fox today about there's all sort of business going on about Biden's health issues. I'm not sure if there's a trial going on or whatever is going on, but there's still people harping on about the condition of Biden's health. There's been issues of Trump's health, saying this business where he has his medicals and he's 100% fit, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. I think the writing's been on the wall for some time about Trump's deteriorating health. But once again, it's the power, it's the influence that stops that information coming out. Now, the information that has come to light over Trump with his hand being made up and the swollen ankles, I guess it's become quite obvious that there's something going on. So it's now, I guess, being used as a diversion. Let's talk about Trump's health and let's go into that, do a deep dive on that and start putting all the attention on that. Hopefully then the Epstein situation will go away. I don't think that's going to happen. Trump's health has been under a microscope for some time. People have not believed that he's been in as good a health as he says he is. There's been signs of deterioration of his speech, his memory. He doesn't even have a memory. I suppose he does have a memory, but it's pretty hard to I'd say it's a bad one. So I believe that the health issue is just it's just a red herring to try and take everyone's attention away from the fact that the Jeffrey Epstein case isn't going to go away. So anyway, that's my little thoughts on those couple of things that are happening in the world today. Every day something else happens which puts everyone into a real tailspin. It's got us off the tariffs a little bit. It's got us off the Gaza, the bombs, the fighting, all of the other bits and pieces that are going on in the world. But I'm quite sure they will surface again, if not today, then tomorrow or the next day, which will give us another few talking points, which I'll come back and make some comments on. So anyway, in the meantime, if you've stayed this long with me rattling on here with my opinions and views, if you'd like to leave a like, a comment, if you'd like to follow my channel, there will be more coming. If you'd like to subscribe, I intend to come in here every couple of days and just give my view as someone in their 70s who doesn't live in America, who is a female. It's not the typical opinions that you're going to be getting from anyone watching the TV, or watching videos. So that's what I intend to do over the next while, is try and give my input as much as I can. Okay, thank you. Bye.